Hi everyone. We now have an update on the Employment Rights Bill in terms of the expected timescales for bringing in different pieces of legislation. The most controversial and chunkiest laws are probably set to come in 2027 now. Seemingly government has listened to businesses' concern about the burden that the extra regulation would have in the short term if it came in more quickly than that period of time. So a paper has been published on the 1st of July that sets out the roadmap on implementing various elements of our own big, beautiful bill. Summer to autumn this year will be fairly quiet, thankfully. There will be a consultation on various measures such as the launch of the day one unfair dismissal rights and the concept of the statutory probationary period. As we move into autumn 2025, we then have consultations on various trade union measures, which we will come on to. Consultation on dismissal and re-engagement, so fire and rehire, bereavement leave, and ending the use of exploitative 0 hours contracts, amongst other things. And I'm just going through the highlights here. There are a huge number of other more minor pieces of legislation which I'm not commenting on in this video. Now, once those consultations are complete, it's likely that the majority of the trade union reform legislation will come into effect fairly quickly. So they'll be the first pieces of new law to come into force. And this looks at protection against dismissal for taking industrial action, simplifying industrial action notices, electronic balloting, workplace balloting, and a requirement to notify an employee of their right to join a trade union. And we then look ahead to winter 25 and early 26. There'll be further consultation on other trade union measures such as strengthening protection against dismissal. The laws on tips and gratuities will be tightened in the employee's favour, and the government will look at collective redundancies and flexible working. We then get to April next year. There will be an increase, is projected, in the maximum period of the collective redundancy protective award. Day one rights introduced for paternity leave and unpaid parental leave. There will be the establishment of the Fair Work Agency. So we've picked up on this in the past. That will be an agency which is able to enforce worker rights in areas such as holiday pay and national minimum wage without necessarily the employee having to go through tribunal action. And amendments to statutory sick pay are likely to come into force this time. So the removal of the lower earnings limit and removal of waiting days. We then go right to October 2026, and we're expected to then have in place a ban on fire and rehire clauses, which for me is still extremely controversial and such a restriction on employers, but we'll have to wait to see what happens there. An introduction of a requirement to take reasonable steps to prevent sexual harassment and third-party harassment of employees. Extension of tribunal time limits to 6 months. Other strengthening of trade unions' rights of access in the workplace. And then, as we said, the tipping laws, tips and gratuities strengthening may come into effect. Then, again, the most controversial in 2027, day one rights to protection from unfair dismissal, 0 hours contracts changes, and these are incredibly technical changes around offering guaranteed hours, providing reasonable notice of shifts, compensation in the event of cancellation of shifts. And that consultation actually started a good number of months ago, so to delay the implementation to 2027 is a bit of a surprise. We'll have increased rights for pregnant workers at that time. Other industrial relations changes, a reasonableness requirement, in relation to the refusal of flexible working requests, and day one rights to bereavement leave. Changes going forward are likely to be implemented on 6 April and 1st of October. In relation to what that legislation will look like at the very end, who knows? I think there will probably have to be a number of concessions made in relation to some of the more controversial aspects of the bill, such as statutory probationary periods. The government's already suggested that for unfair dismissal claims arising during that time, there may well be a significant reduction in the amount of compensation which can be claimed at an absolute maximum, and other adjustments are likely, such as watering down some of the provisions, potentially on fire and rehire. I really hope. I am going to bang that drum as much as I can. We will update you as much as we can in terms of the effects of the consultation and the changes which are being proposed, but at least there is some security in knowing that the huge change of unfair dismissal rights will not come in until at least early 2027. If you need any further advice on this or anything employment law generally, please do get in touch. Visit the website chadwicklawrence.co.uk or email employmenthub@chadlaw.co.uk. Thank you.